Hello and welcome back to Tool.tv, where today we're going to finally be taking a look at the Sony Smartwatch 3. I've been wearing this watch for the past 6 weeks or so now, so I thought I'd go ahead and take a couple of minutes and just tell you a little bit about my thoughts about it. I'm not going to do the unboxing or anything because there really wasn't that much to it. It's basically just the watch, a USB cable, and some documentation, and that's about it. But the watch itself, if you're not familiar with it, has a 1.2 GHz quad-core ARM A7 chip. Some websites argue as to whether or not it's actually the Qualcomm Snapdragon 400, which most of the other first generation Android Wear devices came with. It's got the same 512 megs of RAM and 4 gigs of storage that all of the other first gen Android Wear devices had. But to differentiate just a little bit, it has a 420 mAh battery, built-in GPS and Wi-Fi, and the 1.6 inch display is transflective, which means that you can very easily see it in the sunlight. It's also IP68 certified instead of IP67 like a lot of the other ones that I've seen. So basically, instead of being able to just splash it in the water, you should be able to submerge it, I think, up to 1.5 meters for a half an hour, as long as it's not salt water. A lot of that has to do with the fact that it doesn't have any open ports. It has one micro USB port on the back of it, and it has a clasp that goes over it. And in addition to all of that, it actually has an easily replaceable band. You basically just pop it out, there's the watch itself, and then the band can go bye-bye. And in my case, Sony was nice enough to send it out with the white band attached to it, as well as with the black band, same sort of the rubber band, and additionally a little third face that you can put your own band on. So I went ahead and found on Amazon a stainless steel black watch band that I could attach to it. And I have to say, I absolutely love the way that it looks in that band. And the band itself is not terrible. It gets the job done. I did have to remove a couple of links from it, which gave me the excuse to actually buy a little watch jeweler's kit to take everything apart with. That was a great learning experience. But for the most part, since I do tend to go for more of a casual look for day-to-day stuff, I've tended to just keep it in this white band because I kind of like the way that it looks. The funny thing about it is when I wear it in the white band, more often than not, somebody will ask me, "Oh, is that the Apple Watch?" No, it's not the Apple Watch. But in addition to these three options that I've shown you, there are loads and loads of other ones out there, a bunch of different colors. Of course, you can take this one and put different bands on it, so that's a great option. They show it on the Sony website with a black leather and a brown leather band. And additionally, I think there's going to be a full stainless steel band, a silver stainless steel band coming from Sony, but I haven't seen anything on release information on that. I will be on the lookout for that though. So as far as my experience with it, the out-of-the-box experience and the now experience are two drastically different things. Out of the box, the animations were actually kind of sluggish, so going back and forth between cards and looking at different screens, it would take just a second for it to respond and actually run the full animation, which is odd because the hardware between it and the G-Watch are so similar, you'd think the experience would be identical, but on the G-Watch, it was so much faster. And it was primarily when I was swiping up to see a new card. When I would swipe down, it was just fine. Now that it's got an Android 5.1.1, it's nowhere near as sluggish on swiping through the cards, so that's a big thumbs up there. The out-of-the-box experience, the battery life, they claim it's about 2 days. After 1 day of use, I was usually seeing around 60 to 65% battery remaining. I gave it a shot, let it run 2 full days, and about 2/3 of the way through the second day, I was at the point where I needed to charge. I was less than 10% battery remaining. So the 2 days is a pretty accurate estimate, I would say, for the out-of-the-box experience. After the Android 5.1.1 update, I think there's something actually wrong in the software. There's something that's hanging. I've read online and it seems there's a lot of people that are having battery life issues with it now, but it's draining ridiculously fast. So I've tried turning off the Wi-Fi. That doesn't seem to do anything. The only thing that really helps me is when I notice the battery is draining pretty fast, I reboot the watch and it comes back and it's just fine for the rest of the day. More often than not, I plug it in at night. Next morning I get up, I start using it. I notice it feels a little warm on my wrist, so I check it. Oh look, my battery life's already down to 70% or 60%. What's going on? So there's something in that software there that's not quite right. I haven't spent a whole lot of time with the G-Watch since Android 5.1.1 dropped for them, so I can't really compare and contrast. Now that I'm doing this review, I may go back to the G-Watch just to sort of, like I said, compare and contrast. So if you do have the Smartwatch 3 and you're having battery life issues after the 5.1.1 update, try a reboot. It may stop it at least temporarily. There must just be something that's hanging in the software. As far as the GPS, one of the things that really attracted me to this was the fact that it came with GPS and most of the other first generation Android Wear devices did not. I've used it a few times here and there. More often than not, if I'm going for a run, I'm just going to carry my phone along with me. But it's very nice to be able to sync the music over to my watch, have the GPS working on the watch as well, tap a couple of buttons, and then take off without having to carry a phone. That sounds great in theory, but in practice it doesn't work quite that way. I noticed in my case the GPS didn't really pick up and start working correctly until I was significantly far away from my phone. I'm talking like 100, 150 feet away from the phone. So basically I would get down to the end of the street and start going in another direction, and then suddenly the watch location would start to pick up and the app would start working. It may just be that I need to take more time with it and continue to work with it, but it's not been amazing so far. It seems to be decently accurate. I'm not going to say it's 100% perfect, but it did seem to be pretty close to where I was actually running the few times I've tried it. It's just that little initial hump of missing the first quarter mile or so made it a little bit frustrating. This also comes with built-in NFC. I completely forgot to mention that, and I honestly didn't even know it until earlier today. And basically what that means is you can take your phone at any time as long as NFC is enabled, tap it on the watch, and it opens up the Android Wear app. I wish I had known that ahead of time, because that would be so much more convenient than searching for the app and doing this and doing that. Oh look, I just tap it and I've got the app open. So easy. Sony really loves to do that. They put NFC in everything at this point. So they've got it in their watches, their headphones, the camera that I'm recording on, pretty much anything that's a Sony product now. You can just tap your phone on it and something will happen. The other thing that really drew me to this watch was that transflective display, and as you'll see from this video, taking this thing out in the sunlight is absolutely amazing. Everybody that I've shown it to out in public, they're just like, wait, I can actually read what's on your watch. That's so handy, that's so useful. Because the majority of other smartwatches at this point, you either waste a ton of battery trying to keep the screen on so you can actually see it, or you can't see it at all because it's just, you're out in direct sunlight and it's a black screen. I know when the G Watch first came out, that was a huge complaint, there was no auto brightness, and even at the brightest setting, it was kind of hard to see it out in the sun. Not a problem with the Smartwatch 3. Anyway, I've been going on about this for entirely too long now. To wrap things up, my thoughts and opinions on it, it's a very nice watch. I love the fact that it's so easily customizable with these bands, and these bands are not terribly expensive. I love the fact that it has built-in GPS in case I want to use it. I love the transflective display. Before the Android 5.1.1 update, I loved the battery life. Now I kind of wish I could get that battery life back. That's really the only big issue that I've had with it at this point. As a bit of a minor issue, I'm not a huge fan of the way that it charges. I love that it's a micro USB plug. I just don't like that you can't charge it while it's on your wrist. I kind of would prefer that it be on the side or something. Not to say that I'm going to be charging it while it's on my wrist, but I'm probably going to be charging it while it's on my wrist. I did that at CES this year with the G Watch. But in order to do that, I had to have the charging stand under the watch on my wrist and then plug directly into it from the side. So I kind of like the fact that this does not have its own proprietary charging dock, but at the same time, I kind of wish at least that it was a little easier to plug in. If there was a side micro USB port, that would be preferable in my opinion, but that would also throw off the design entirely, I know. So anyway, all in all, it is a great watch. It is a great offering. Even though we're getting ready to go into the next generation of Android Wear devices, there's still not a whole lot that are coming out that have the feature set that this has on it. So I'll put a link down in the video description to where you can find it. I may also put down there some links to other watch bands that you can put on it. And if I can find it, I'll put the link to the stainless steel black band that I put on mine, because I absolutely love this thing. But do keep in mind, you do have to have a bit of a jeweler's kit to actually make this work. But I think that's going to be about all from me for today. If you have any questions or comments or anything about the Sony Smartwatch 3, definitely let me know down in the comment section below. Thanks so much to Sony for sending this out. Thanks to you guys for watching. Remember to hit the thumbs up below if you like this video, subscribe to receive more videos when they become available, and I will see you again next time.